Yes, until other participants join, if anybody wishes to. Hari Om ji, Hari Om.
Hariom,
Namaste.
Hariom,
Hari Om ji.
Hariom.
Namaste. Hari Om. So, until the participants join, if anybody wishes to ask or share something, you are welcome. Or we can just wait for a few more minutes. We'll just start in another couple of minutes. Again, I request all participants who can turn on your video feeds, please do turn on your video feeds. It's much easier to interact with the video feeds on. Vasudevanji, you will be sharing the Dhyana mantra after the invocation.
Sure.
Ji, sir.
I will share 3 and 4 today.
Ji, sir.
I've
Ji.
already had the
Uh,
shlokas.
in the group, no, sir? Yes, sir. Yes, yes. Sir. Ji, ji. All right. I think we can begin with the invocation now. Hari Om. सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा
प्रपन्न पारिजाताय श्रोतवैत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीता मृदुहे नमः सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोक्ता गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्स सुधीर्भोक्ता दुक्तं गीतामृतं महत्.
Hari Om. Dugdam Gitamrutam Mahat. Thank you, Vasudevanji. So that is why Gita is called the Amrit, and we are lucky. Our Gopal is there for us. Krishna has made it so easy, and all the Upanishads are just like this cows only, and the Upanishads have been milked for us in the form of Gita. Let us begin. Before that, as usual, we need to establish our link. We are now in the second Adhyaya. We stopped at Shloka number 29. We are going to continue with Shloka number 30. Anybody can share something, anything that we covered last, so we can quickly get on with the Adhyaya. Yes, please. Anything that we saw. So the link is established. Ji.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now it is only audible, Ji.
So basically, when Arjuna was trying to tell Krishna about how he's feeling, and so then finally Arjuna realized that, I mean, he said that I am in your sharan, so you have to like guide me.
Huh.
And then Krishna tells Arjuna, I mean, he's trying to just make them understand that what are you thinking, like you're present, like about immortality or what the Atma part of you. You were not there, you were always there, but there now and you will always be there. So that was the gist of it.
Ji, Ji. All right. Okay, thank you, Deepti ji. So, anybody would like to add a little bit more to what Deepti ji shared? Yes? Anybody would like to add anything? Anything else was. So, Krishna talked about the Atman, and probably Arjuna didn't really believe all of it. Ashtaryavat pashyati kashyatena. Some people see with surprise, some people hear with surprise. Some people, after hearing, also there's no surprise. It falls on one ear and goes off from the other ear, he says. Some people realize that, yes, yes, now I understand the Atman must be there. That is the realization and Sakshatkar. So the people, he says, react differently to this truth of the Atman, he says. But this Atman is there which is not going to die. Sharir is going to die, but not the Atman. And that is immortal, that is Sanatan, that is Shashwat, which cannot be. Arjuna was afraid of something getting polluted and all. He said this is something so immaculate that it cannot be polluted. It cannot be cut, it cannot be dried, it cannot be wet, but that Atman is present. Now, if you study the Upanishads also, we will see some similar truths present in the Upanishad as well. That is why they say the kingdom of Brahma Vidya, it is somewhere which is beyond our what Tarka Vidya also, it is sometimes beyond that. That is what is Brahma Vidya. But now Arjuna is not he is not come for Brahma Vidya to Krishna. Arjuna wanted to escape from the battle, and somewhere he was first disappointed, emotional, disturbed, all these things together. Finally, he says, no, Krishna is not listening, I better surrender. And he says, Krishna, it is Pruchhami Tvam Dharma Sammudha Cheta. He says, I am in a state of confusion. My Cheta or my mind has now, I do not know the solution, and I understand, at least I am recognizing, he's trying to show that I don't know what needs to be done. And he says, I am afraid. Karpanya dosho pahata swabhava. I am afraid on the inside. So, for a grown up adult, for a warrior of the caliber of Arjuna, to have the humility to come to terms with the situation and accept that, no, I am afraid. Krishna, I am afraid what's going to happen. You can guide me. Here we see the love for Krishna. He is confident that Krishna can answer this situation also, because now his logic has ended. He's found nothing. He says it's frying pan and fire. I do not know what to choose. This side my people, this side also my people only. Either way, my life is going to get desecrated. I don't want to take part in this battle. Krishna, guide me. So there Krishna begins, and we have seen one thing about how first Krishna lends a patient ear. Next he starts, and he starts with a smile. Prahasanneva Bharata. There is a slight smile on with laughter. He says, what Arjuna? You are talking about great Shastras, you're talking about Naraka, you're talking about like a very wise man, but now you are crying and letting go of all emotions. So he keeps on saying, Na shochito marhasi. It is not right. It is not right to cry. First he says, understand that there is something which will not perish, even if the physical body perishes. There is something which will not perish, and that thing was there before, it is now, and it is later on also. So he goes on talking about the Atman. Somewhere probably Krishna sees Arjuna is not relating to it at all. So immediately the shloka he changes. So assume, he says, even if there is no such thing as immortal Atman, then also it is not right. Now he comes back to the from metaphysics. This is something Krishna is an expert driver. He knows which gear has to be shifted at what time. Suddenly he raises to metaphysical level. Again he brings it back to logic. And he says, okay, assume, fine. Even if the Atman was not going to be eternal, even in that case, Arjuna, he says it's not right to be grieving. It is not right. Let us see what he goes on. So because 26 shloka he says that, but again once more he tries to tell him, this probably indicates that he wants Arjuna to recognize somehow, at least explore, if not negate the complete possibility of some immortal existence inside of a mortal body. He says explore probably, and if we actually explore it, we will get what Vedantic Rishis, Aham Brahmasi or Brahmasmi or Tattvamasi, all those are the answers of such explorations. These are great research of our Vedantic Rishis. They were spiritual scientists only, greatest of greatest researchers. So that is something. Let us go on further. 30th shloka. Dehi nityam avadyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani na tvam shochitum arhasi. Seated within the physical bodies of seated within the bodies of every being physical, O Arjuna, the self is invincible and eternal, and thus, for the sake of every individual being, it is improper and incorrect for you to be grieving. So he says, see, inside everybody there is this invincible self, but for it is not right for you to go grieve over every single person. He says, because Arjuna is now worrying about every single person around him, and is now emotional and is in a state of complete what we can say panic and depression, all of it together. I remember when I was young in college, I was to read sometimes Reader's Digest that used to come out. So there were stories of people in Africa who are not getting food, and this would really disturb me so much, and I would not understand. I remember one birthday, I was like, no, I'm not going to celebrate this birthday. See, these people are not, their children eating mud. They're not having anything, and I am going to enjoy cakes. This was all disturbing for me, and I was not able to, understand what we can say. I was not able to manage what one side of the things are like this, another side of the world is like this. I was not able to connect at all. And luckily at that time I found like Krishna was there for Arjuna. For me, I found my teacher then. His name is also Madhusudana. It is in Vishnu says name, it is a name of, in Sankatkal you can remember Krishna as Madhusudana. So I asked him this question, and he just said, can a person who is crying wipe the tears of another person who is crying? That was a simple question he asked. If you are crying, can you wipe another person's tears by crying? The answer was no. What can I do? I can probably sit and cry with that person. That's all I can do, because emotions will not help me up beyond a particular extent. If I'm able to recognize my duty of the moment and do something, maybe I will be able to do something. Maybe I may be able to set right. Or I may not be if I'm not successful in the end. But at least efforts can be taken. But when no efforts are taken, when emotions are only taking full control, it's of no use. And Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna, see, Arjuna, just whatever happens, you must not just lose yourself to the emotions. It is good to be sensitive, but oversensitive instrument also is of no use. I think in even our mechanical engineering we calculate the, when calibration is done for machines, we do the sensitivity testing. If it's an oversensitive instrument, it is of no use for any purpose. We'll have to discard that instrument. Sensitivity is important, so it has to be perfect, but not which is just going to vary so much. So something like that, Krishna is telling, no, na chochitum arhasi. This is not the way. And again we'll see Krishna going back to the same line, na chochitum arhasi, throughout this chapter. He will go from one direction and again come to that same point. Now he talks about swadharma, because each of us has our own dharma, our individual dharma. We will see a little bit more about dharma later on, but let us see. So dharmamapi chaveksha navekampitum arhasi dharmyadhi yuddhat shreyo anyakshatriyasya na vidyate. Your dharma, moral duty, you must consider, and from it you most definitely mustn't falter. For the warriors who to uphold the truth fight, nothing is most appropriate but to defend the right. So he says, see, remember, he's trying to remind him of the Kshatriya Dharma. Your dharma is what? What is the dharma of a warrior? Anybody? What is the dharma of a Kshatriya?
To safeguard his territory to country.
Yes, yes, to safeguard the territory, he has to. And it is like, can he think about all his family and everything when he is now, a terrorist is coming?
That is his duty at that moment. That is his duty at that moment.
But does he not have a family?
He has a family, but because he's a Kshatriya, so that is what the dharma of the Kshatriya is.
So
To first think of for
first,
the kingdom.
even if that means he may have to forget his family.
That's what like you were telling me yesterday also, like what our armed forces are doing.
Yes, yes,
They
yes.
the same case.
Yes, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 21, at this age, they forget
Right.
that. Yes, yes, they forget that. No, no, my mother is waiting, or my father is there. Some have just got married. Just sometimes it's just not even a month is over and they are in duty. So
A
what
very
do?
practical would be when the Kargil war started.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
the past cadets were like they did not know where they have to go, and then they were shifted to Kargil, and they never came back.
Never came
Many of
back.
them.
Never came back. And they were conscious when they were going there. They were conscious, fully conscious. They also knew maybe people, society will not treat their parents very well after they are gone also. Yet, such was their commitment, that towards their swadharma, that no, that is why they said dharmo rakshati rakshitah. If that Kargil war there, they had said no, I care about my person. It's all right who rules my country is not important. For me, I want my family. I want to protect.
Yeah,
Yes, Jay?
when they even signed the certificate, I mean, signed the declaration
Ha.
before joining the any armed forces, they have to get the signature from the parent, from the father.
Yes.
So it's like signing on the death certificate, and they consciously know that what I'm doing is like stamping on their son's
Yes.
or daughter's death certificate, but they're still very
Yes.
much aware.
And even in today's age, how many people, young men and women, enroll for serving, knowing fully well, because that is the way of the Kshatriya. And somewhere our Arjuna, the great hero, who is a veteran, he has forgotten his dharma. He's forgotten his swadharma, which is also shows us that swadharma we must always remember. We must have a smaran of our swadharma. When Arjuna, who was such a great hero, could forget it, I think we should also never allow emotions around our life events to change us or make us forget our swadharma. Krishna is telling the same thing to Arjuna. He says, Yadruchaya chopapannam Swargadaram apavrutam sukhinaha kshatriyaha partha labante yuddhamidrusham. And he says, what about this? Now we are civilians, we feel very sad about this. Of course, army colleagues also feel bad, but you should hear the dialogue sometimes in the regiment. He was lucky he got the chance to become martyr. It was my turn. He came instead of me. Watch, I am going to go do something bigger than him. He is thinking that way. Or there was this mother who lost three children, one after the other. And this time the head of the regiment felt I should personally go and meet the mother because she's lost three brave sons, one after the other. And now he goes and then he sees a slight tear in her eyes and he says, Mother, you should not cry. You are the mother of such brave martyrs. She gets very angry at him. I am not crying because I lost three sons. I'm crying because I don't have a fourth son to give for my country. So this is the way of the Kshatriya, that they have a very clear understanding of that. And that is why only selected people enter into that field. It is like that. It is a specialization. It is a swadharma. So this such a moment, when such a moment comes, when such a bellicose moment abruptly presents on its own accord, it opens the doors of heavens. The warrior, O Arjuna, only joyfully consents, for they consider this chance sacred and God given. So they feel this is a sacred chance for me to serve for the motherland. Some metaphysical truth they understand. We don't know. One Paramveer Chakra award, he actually saw, he saw Mahabharati and he was willing to take bullets on his body. And he went tumbling down after getting the bullets, but retained his consciousness so that he could pass on the information before he went into coma. And he passed on the information that helped India reclaim a post. And later on he was awarded. But he had nothing and he said he called upon Mahabharati. He saw the goddess Mahabharati and she will protect me. I just have to pass on this information. So what happens? This is a Kshatriya jumps and pounces upon the opportunity. This opportunity they consider as God given, a chance to serve. Why they say Janani Janma Bhumishta Swargadapi Gariyasi. Greater than Swarga is this Janma Bhumi. I want to serve this Janma Bhumi. So this is the way, and Arjuna is being reminded by Krishna. See, this is the warrior. Warrior signs up for this only, and it is not something which he should forget his swadharma. He goes on. अथ चेत्त्वमिमं धर्म्यं संग्रामं न करिष्यसि ततः स्वधर्मं कीर्तिं च हित्वा पापम अवाप्स्यसि. So if you see, now he is deflating all the logical arguments of the first adhyaya. Arjuna first said one thing, that he said, it is all right. He said, even if I died without, I will still retain some glory if I got killed by the Kauravans. When I am unarmed, I will drop my weapons. Come, kill me. I will get some glory, is what Arjuna had said then. But now he says, Krishna tells 33rd shloka, but if you, in this battle for justice, do not participate, and from your duties you verily deviate, you will gain no fame for this sin of inaction, but instead bear the consequences of abstention. He says you will bear the karma of abstention. You are not going to get any fame. Nobody is going to say, wow, what a wonderful coward Arjuna was. Or what are they going to say? Nobody is going to praise you for this running away from battle. No glory is going to come. Plus, what papa you are thinking you are going to escape by not doing your duty, you are actually going to incur the consequences of not performing your duty. Every action has its own consequence, and this inaction is also a type of action. It is a response. It is what we can see later on in the Gita, tamasic response, and tamasic response will have that type of consequence as well. But let us not go into the gunas right now. So 34th shloka, akirtim chapi bhutani kathayishyanti te avyayam sambhavitasya cha kirtir maranad atirichyate. And also all the people shall speak for eternity of this ill action, harboring only disrespect. For those who by their deeds have earned respect, even death is far more glorious than notoriety. So those, he says, Arjuna is somebody who is very caring about his image. He is somebody who has cultivated, he is a good, righteous person, and he wears that as a badge of honor, his righteousness or his moral nature, all of this. So for somebody who has earned the respect of society, nothing is worse. Death is all right, but not getting the disrespect according to such a person's mindset. So Arjuna, what about you? He says, all people will forever think of Arjuna as this person, the coward who ran away. They will not think of you as Parantapa. And I don't think it can be anything worse than this to you, Arjuna. Is it not? He says, 35th shloka. Bhayadrinaduparatam mansyante tvam maharathaha yesham cha tvam bahumato bhutva yasyasi laghavam. Out of fear you have deserted the war. So of you the greatest of warriors shall think. The esteem that you have earned you will scar. From your stature and grace you will fall and sink. He says, okay, assume you are going. Because now if you see, Krishna stopped metaphysics and brought back Tarka only. Because for Arjuna he said, now listen by this logic. By your logic only, he says, what will people say? See, this coward, he ran away from the war. He deserted the war. All the great warriors will think, even the great warriors, your colleagues whom you are competing to, you have a competitive way of looking at them for so many years, and you have been trying to become the best, and you have become. Even all those will say, look at him, look at him. Is that a Kshatriya? He is not a worthy opponent also, he says. Whatever esteem you have earned, you will get a scar onto it, and he says you will fall from your grace, you will fall from your stature. He says people will call you Ranchod. Anybody knows Ranchod as a name of somebody? Yes, please.
Yeah, in speed, yes, Ranchod Das.
Yes, Vidyaji.
It is Krishna's name.
Okay,
Krishna's name.
Ji, Dr. Poonam ji. Yes, it is Krishna's name, is it not? Krishna's name is Ranchod. He's got that name, and what is he saying? People will call you Ranchod. You call, is it hypocrisy or what is it? What do you think Krishna is doing here by saying this? Anybody? Krishna didn't care if it is called Ranchod. He said, all right, I will hold on the highest.
But he's just giving a reference. See, I am being called, you'll also be called. Although Krishna
No, no,
doesn't
no, no,
mind.
not that, Diptiji. That is not the actual reason. The reason right now here is because Krishna has already, he is gone beyond all Kirti, Akirti, all of that. He is gone beyond it. He knows the highest dharma, and for that he will take all the kalanka. He'll get all the scars he has to receive, all the bad names, but he will uphold. Krishna's was always something beyond logic, but Arjuna functioned by logic only. Arjuna and Krishna were together. It was an old story as well. And Arjuna always used to accompany Krishna wherever he goes. So our Krishna says, we have to go to this Swamvara. He's like, all right, let's go. Then he says, we have to steal the bride. Arjuna is shocked. What is this? What is the logic? And then Krishna tells no, for Arjuna to understand. Because Krishna knows this is right. This is a Swamvara happening against the Dharma, and so it has to be stopped. But now how is his instrument Arjuna going to understand? So for him in the logic he explains, see, she does not wish to be married and she is being forced into this. Her wish is not to be married, and then Arjuna understands there. So problem with Arjuna is right now he's on that level of Tarka only, and so Krishna is again coming by Tarka and he's saying, see, because Arjuna cares about his image. That is why he's saying, see, I don't want my image to be spoiled. He says, in his emotions, in his logic, he is forgetting that his entire family is going to suffer. All the people, he says, I will get fame. Then he tells him, no fame is going to come. Instead, in opposite of fame is going to come, people are going to give you names. And Arjuna, can there be anything worse than that? So that is Krishna's way, we can see. That is why many times it is like, is Krishna contradicting? No, he is not. But for Krishna's logic, we have to reach to Krishna's consciousness and understand what is from that point of view. It again appears true from there. Let us see the next shloka, the 36th one. Avachya bahun vadishyanti tavahitaha nindantastava samarthyam tato dukkhatarum nukim. Your enemies, he says, your enemies shall insult your adeptness, ridiculing your prowess as ineptness. Alas, how painfully agonizing this shall be. Anything worse than this can you see? He says, see, all your enemies, even Duryodhana will say, Arjuna was never a warrior. Arjuna was just afraid. He was just some person who was very afraid. He never knew what some people simply told he was very good at archery. But he never was good at archery. Look what he did in the Mahabharata. This is the way people will talk, he says. They'll ridicule your skill. They'll say, no, he was never skilled. He was just he was afraid. Lucky he was sometimes that sometimes his arrows hit the mark. But when it mattered, it did not. He was skilled. He had no skill, he says. And Arjuna, can there be anything more painful than this? This is also an insult to Arjuna's skill, is also an insult to his teachers, gurus, teaching as well. And Arjuna was someone who wanted to uphold all of these things. So here Krishna is reminding him. And then, if you see, Arjuna had told it is like a catch 22 situation, frying pan and fire. Krishna again breaks that logic also by saying in the 37th shloka, Hetavo va prapsasi swargam jitva va bhokshase mahim tasmad uttishta kaunteya yudhaya kruta nishchaya. Uttishta kaunteya, rise O kaunteya, make your mind firm, ready to battle is what Krishna says. In this mighty battle, to uphold the right, either the heavens' doors shall open on defeat, or, or your victory, the whole earth shall joyously greet. Success is certain, Arjuna. Rise up and fight. Krishna says it is not a frying pan fire, it is a win win situation. He says, what's going to happen? He says, assume you don't survive, but you have upheld your dharma. You have lived to your last breath upholding your dharma, and so Swargadhara is definitely going to open for you. What are you going to worry about that? And okay, if you don't, so somehow you survive, then what? Well, it will be the victory of dharma, and you will be a part of the party that is celebrating the joy of winning. The victory of dharma will be celebrated on earth, and you will be greeted as a hero. So either ways, you are a hero. That is why, if you see the advertisements of armies, also you be a winner. Why are they saying that? Because real heroes, they are fighting and living completely. So something like that, Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna. Yes, rise up and fight, he says. Sukha dukhe same krutva labha labhau jaya jayau tato yuddhaya yujjasva naivam papam avapsyasi. He says, in both sorrow and joy, if you hold your poise, in either profit or loss by not seeking a choice, if you wage this war with this state of mind, certainly there is no sin that you will incur or find. So here, this is a very nice one. He says, Naivam papam avapsyasi. So all the different sins from Guru Hatya, Mitra Droha, Kulakshaya, he went on towards society, towards Pitars, continuous. Krishna was given a full list of different papas which will be incurred by Arjuna. And Krishna says, if you engage in a state of balance, in a poised manner, you hold your choice in both sorrow and joy, profit or loss. If you wage this state of mind, in this state of mind, without seeking to choose, just being balanced, completely balanced, whether you are successful or you are failing, whether you are happy or whether you are sad, you still keep the balance inside. Then you will not incur any sin, is what he says. Now I think we know soldiers also, uh, they get into positions where adrenaline rush is there, so many things they have to do. How important do you think is balance required there, poise? Because enemy comes, you have to attack the enemy, is it not? But is balance required or it's not required? You just have to charge with a rush of emotions, or a balance is required? Yes, please. What happens if a soldier loses the balance? Yes, Dr. Poonamji,
I think
your audio is, I think, muted.
Yeah, if he loses balance, either he will be killed or he will lose the battle.
Yeah, he lose the battle, or also we have heard of sometimes soldiers being trigger friendly. I thought enemy is coming and the person is over excited and hitting civilians also, because the balance is lost.
Anything.
So that balance is required at all times, and I think yesterday we saw Krishna's. Thank you, Dr. Poonamji. So yesterday we saw Krishna saying that such a person who is able to be calm even in happiness or failure, in heat or cold, such a person is worthy of getting the highest realization. So that same truth he is now bringing it into practical life also. He says, see, if you are balanced at all moments, you're not going to incur sin. Many times our Vivek Buddhi, there is something inside of us which is called Viveka, ability to discriminate between right and wrong action. That is actually, it is like some kind of switch is turned off when we become emotional. So our Viveka does not work then. For understanding what is right to be done at that moment, we need to be calm and balanced only. Many times in sports players also, there are captains who are very cool. They can take the right decisions only when they are quiet. No matter how pressure situation is, how much pressure is there, they try to turn off that pressure on the outside, so that on the inside they keep calm, and then they go. If they have to charge also, it has to be composed. A commander also cannot send his own soldiers just like that for a battle. He has to, if he is disturbed, he is going to have a great loss. A lot of casualties will be there, so he has to be very poised. So something like that Krishna is saying, and forget that if you are balanced, if you are listening to that inner voice, maybe the Atman inside is only guiding, we do not know, nothing has been told yet by Krishna, but if you are balanced, well, you're not going to incur papa is what he says. So that is something which he is saying. Let us go on. एषा ते भिहिता सांख्ये बुद्धि योगे त्विमां शृणु बुद्ध्या yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. So the concept of karma bandha is being introduced. We will see that there is something, bandha means a kind of bondage, and our karmas, we know karmas means action, but how are they binding us, or what is this karma bandhana? We don't know, but Krishna is saying, I will tell you. Listen to me. Listen to what now I am going to reveal. That knowledge, O Arjuna, that lifts the veil, that most ancient yoga of knowledge, which liberates one from karma's bondage. I'll tell you that. So even karma bandhana, this is what even the Vedantic rishis talk about. In Isha Upanishad, it says, "Na karma lipyate nare." Get into a state where no karmas are going to bind you. It's like somebody who is a foodie and who wants to eat a lot of food. The person only problem for a foodie is that the extra calories and everything. So he always dreams. His only prayer is that give me some kind of blessing that whatever I eat does not add on to me. It is something like that. All karmas that we do have a karma bandhana, or a sanskar is created. A consequence of karmas take place, and then we get trapped. Sometimes we say unnecessarily something to someone. It comes back to us after a very long time, and we don't know what did we do, and then we realize we should not have done that. But sometimes it's difficult. So this karma bandhana is something which is binding all of us. Not much has been told, but Krishna says there is a way. There is a way in which you will not be bound by this flux of karma as well. Let us see. He says, I'll tell you. And he says, when you are operating in this particular state, already he has told you don't have to worry about papa because you're not going to be doing any action that will add to this. 40th one, let us see. नेहाभिक्रमना शोस्ति प्रत्यवावो प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य त्रायते महतो भयात्. This is again a beautiful shloka where swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So when you are probably a karma yoga mode is activated, what's going to happen that time? He says little actions also will count, and you're not going to worry about the negative consequences, but it's like a lotus leaf. What happens to water? It is floating in water, but it does not allow water to stick to its surface. Water droplets appear like pearls, something like that. Krishna is saying here. He says, here the actions bring no losses. Here the actions once begun bring no losses or any negative results or consequences. Even the smallest action done in the right manner can protect one from the greatest danger. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya, upholding your swadharma, doing the small action correctly, can protect you from the biggest danger, he says. Can anybody tell me how a small action can protect one person from a big danger? Small action, small danger, but why big danger? Anybody? How? Any example? Can you think of? Yes, please.
Gee, the suicidal tendency, we can take it as an
Okay,
example.
okay, Ji. Yes, so swadharma of protecting our body and not allowing this, no, I'm not going to give up. Yes, there it is important because you can end everything with one small wrong action. All right, that is also one example. Yeah, I remember I got one message. I am going to suicide. I had got a message. I was so scared. What's going to happen? And we were all trying. All friends were trying to reach out to that person and tell him stop doing that. But at that moment, those emotions, if he had allowed, he would have ended his life, forgetting he has a wife. He's forgetting everything else. So that time, then so luckily Swadharma was God. He found his Swadharma and he didn't do that. So his small action of not doing a wrong thing has actually helped the greatest danger. But yes, that is actually yes. But I think that's a very big action. But a smaller action, if anybody can think of anything in our everyday life, we all do that. One action. I think all of us do that. One common action.
Anger.
Yes. Okay. Anger is what. Yes. Pushpaji is saying. Okay. Yeah. I think everybody in their homes, one person has the responsibility of closing the door, the gate every night. Is it not? Though everybody reside inside, One person has taken upon that, yes, it is my duty. I am going to, either appointed or self-appointed, that person takes up that responsibility. So what is that small action of shutting the door? It's just a small action. But if that action is not done, what's going to happen? The entire home is going to be open. Thieves can enter inside. So here, a little action, and Krishna is saying, when you are in a state of karma yoga, when that consciousness is established inside of you, you need not worry. You need not worry about the consequences of karmic consequences, what's going to happen. All these are lost. Probably that is why people say, if you see even in the Adi Shankaracharya had talked about, it's like na papam na punyam. He goes, na mantro na tirtham na veda na yajnam. Chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. It's I'm there, I'm there. I'm beyond this papa, I'm beyond the punya also. But what am I? So there's a state of consciousness, and when you reach that consciousness, you can do no wrong, you will do no wrong also. And Krishna is saying that state, I'll tell you what is it, but it's going to help you. It's not going to allow karmas to attach. Sometimes you see somebody comes, irritates us, we get irritated and we engage in some kind of quarrel. So what has happened? Karma and karma phala, reaction has taken place immediately, and you are also a part of that. Instead, if you just see and the person comes, it tries to trigger you, you don't get triggered. What is going to happen? Sometimes in corporate offices, the manager comes and he tries to trigger the first employee he can trigger because he's irritated, something else is cause of irritation. So if this person can keep his poise, then he can also watch with popcorn how his neighbor is going to get triggered, because now it has not worked on him, it will try on the next person, whoever is susceptible. So something like that, keeping balance. Here Krishna says you can be protected. Little actions, you will not know them, what big dangers are being protected from. You are not conscious, because that is the way. Karmas, we do not know the fruits of our actions. Let us go on. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekehe kuru nandana बहुशाखा ह्यनन्तश्च बुद्धयो vyavasayinam. The decisive selfless intelligence, all as one perceives, and is unifying, O beloved son of the Kuru clan. But the divisive intelligence of desirers has a wide span that splits like a tree's countless branches and leaves. The selfless ones, they see oneness everywhere. Ekatvam anupashyati, they see everywhere oneness. The person sees oneness everywhere because the person is selfless. He can say, yes, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Why? Because that is the state of mind. He is able to see beyond bloodlines. He is able to see beyond his own ideological differences are also transformed, or we can say transcended by that individual, because that is the state. The person is broad-minded. But what happens to the narrow-minded person? I say everything is divided only. It is like this is like that. This is like that. The divisive intelligence of those with desires. It is like a tree, and that tree, if you see the branches of a tree, how the tree's branches, so many branches split. It is like that, and desires keep on splitting. Primary desire leads to secondary, tertiary. It just goes on. It's a never-ending branch. We do not know where it will spread, and that is how the desire of people with who are driven by their own desires. They are always divisive in their perspectives. Then Krishna goes on, Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadantya vipaschitaha vedavadrataha partha nanyadastiti vadinaha. With eloquence and flowery language, men orate, despite limited intelligence when they narrate. Quoting the Vedas with their pseudo interpretation, they dismiss the divine origin of the world's creation. So it is with limited intelligence but very flowery language. People orate. Great orations they are done. What are they doing? Very eloquently they speak. They speak in such a convincing way. There was once a particular scholar in India. There was a time when he was very confident he could be in India only. And he would say, see, look at your Vedas. Your Vedas are useless. Your Vedas are all, come to mine. My religion is better. Look at your religion. It is like this. And he would memorize verses and give very, very weird interpretations of various verses to suit his narrative. And many youngsters would actually get, oh, see, he has told like this. And he would say, Veda is talking like this. See, verse 24.5.5. Nobody has memorized the verses. We never really have this tradition of memorizing all the verses of the Vedas. So the children would actually get suddenly, maybe is he speaking truth? They said, okay, yes. And he said, yes, your Vedas talked about my religion only, and all these things he kept saying. Afterwards, his karma bandhanas came to him. He had to pack, flee, and run away from India. He is now probably hiding in Malaysia. I can't reveal his name as we are having in the sessions right now. We are recording them. But what happened to his flowery interpretation? What happened to his eloquent speech? All of it has gone. It is gone because it is a limited intelligence. He is trying to create further divide only, and then those consequences are borne by him. But if you see, they dismiss the origins. The even divine origin can be dismissed. God is not. When somebody says God is, he'll say God is not, and he'll give a beautiful logic of why God is not existing also. But that's a different question. We are not trying to get into that fight. But again, what we are seeing is this is again how Tarka can be used and misused also. So that is what Krishna is saying. But again, karma bandhanas cannot. Everybody will have to bear the consequences of that. Kamat कामात् मानः स्वर्गपरा जन्म कर्म फलप्रदां क्रिया विशेष बहुलां भोगैश्वर्य गतिं प्रति. Desiring deeply the fruits of worldly wealth, lustfully they seek the heavens and good birth. Ritual like their actions further merely one objective, to achieve through every sacrifice a material objective. So one motive, merely one motive, that through every sacrifice some material objective must be gained. Such is the, if you say desire is, that is why they say asha is something like that. It is going to make a person trapped. Desire one after the other. Desires will keep coming again and again. So desiring deeply the fruits of worldly wealth. So they are wanting in the world, they want wealth. And after world life, they want, even after life, no, I will have 4 BHK after death also. So in Swarga, I need to do particular this thing. So there was one group which was offering to transfer a portion of wealth from this life into the afterlife. There was a research being done how you can transfer that also. So this ritual, like every action is for one object, motive only. What is that? I need to get, even the sacrifice is what? Giving away something you like. And when you do sacrifice, whether it is a yagna also, agneya swaha, agneya idanna mama, not for me, not for me. But here, the sacrifice is done, it is like agneya swaha, give me only for mama only. That person wants more, I want more. So every action, every ritual is driven with one desire only, to get something. Krishna goes on. So this is the seeking of the fruits. Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam tayapa ritachetasam vyavasayatmika buddhihi. Just a second, have I missed? Yes, 44th one. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi samadhau na vidhiyate. So for these people, what's the problem is, it is their desire is the biggest problem. They don't realize that the desire that they are seeking is actually the desire that is trapping them. They are just not conscious of it. In the fruits of every action, their senses are held sway. Allured, their fickle minds merely wander away. Such people whose intelligence is thus unfocused never attain contentment and are always depressed. So Krishna says this, he says, see this, in this desire, these minds are fickle and they just wander away, running after desire. Today desire is making this person run in this direction, tomorrow it will make him run in the opposite direction. And if you ask the person, he say, no, I am running after the right thing only, and I am not running in opposite direction, I am going in the right way. Why? Because the person is blinded by the desires. So their intelligence is also not focused, and that such a person can never attain contentment, is what Krishna is saying, because it is a thirst which cannot be quenched. Some constitution of some country says right for pursuit of happiness, but our Sanatan Dharma says don't pursue happiness. Happiness will come to you at your door. You will have to just sit in one place only, happiness will come to you. It's like a shadow for a yogi. Santushtaha satatam yogi, always it is there only. It's not something to be pursued, but this is what people are when they are trapped by their desires. The selfless ones are not, but those who are selfish, they think they are free, but they are actually not. Trigunya. So now we see Trigunas being introduced for the first time. Let us see what Krishna is saying. Is he introducing more, or is he just giving us the something about it? Trigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigurnyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nityasatvastho Niryogakshema Atmavan. Oh Arjuna, it is in the Vedas that the truth is contained. So Vedas, the book of knowledge, the most ancient text, there is a great truth. What is that truth? Well, that is worth explaining. It cannot be said in words. Sri Aurobindo used a trinity of words to describe that. Satyam, Rutam, Bruhat. So Satya is the highest, followed by Rutam. Rutam is the core of Satya, and Bruhat means vaster. It is wider than the skies. You cannot go and hold the sky in your hand. It is something like that. It is in the Vedas that you find the truth, and the threefold qualities within man are explained. So now this threefold qualities, there's something called Triguna, or if you want to, right now Krishna has not described it, he has just introduced it. There will be a chapter dedicated to the Trigunas, and maybe more than a chapter also. Afterwards they are not going to leave us once Krishna explains it. It is like a universal software working in all human beings only. We don't know who has done that programming and inserted it, but these three gunas are working, and these three gunas, they are explained. He says the truth of Vedas explains the functioning of the gunas. The true state wherein every desire is conquered, and the net non-dual consciousness that is acquired. This is that highest state. All desires are conquered, and that consciousness, where's the difference between divine and human? The human being is able to experience that highest knowledge also. Suddenly all dvandva is going to disappear. All divisions, we can say either material also or maybe spiritual as well. But the divisions, the duality also starts disappearing. The drop suddenly understands that it is no different from the ocean. It is the boundary only. The drop of water understands that it is the same as the ocean. Some sakshatkar comes, and that realization is got, is what Krishna is saying. When that truth is understood, for that understanding, it is not going to come just by reading. Reading can give us data or information, but when will that transform into a realization? That day the sakshatkar is ours. So let us see. Yavan artha udapane sarvataha samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. Just as the usefulness of a water in a well. Before that, I just want to ask a question. If you are thirsty and you want a glass of water, will it make a difference if I give you a glass of water from one small pot which can hold, say, maybe a few liters, or from a very big, huge, that is also earthen vessel which is maybe holding 20-30 liters? You want only 200 ml. Will it make a difference? Yes or no? Why not?
No,
Why is it?
because that time it is not important from where the water is coming. I am
Utility, is it
thirsty.
not? The utility.
Yeah. I just need a I just need a glass of water, whether it's from a bigger pot or a smaller pot or a river.
Yeah, out
Doesn't
of a
matter.
river. Correct. If you are washing clothes, you want to wash clothes from the well, or you want to wash clothes from a water coming from a greater reservoir. It does not make a difference, because what you want to do with that, that is important. The utility. What are you going to do with that knowledge? Where it has come from is not such an important thing. And same thing Krishna says here. He says, just as all the usefulness of water in a well is all encompassed in a reservoir complete, replete, so too is all the Vedic knowledge as well, known to him who has self realization complete. So here he says that same person who is got the self realization, he is going to get an access to the same wisdom of Vedas also. Just like how a well is having all the utility of that of a great reservoir, a small well can also function for a person's living and existence. Just like that, somebody who gets a self realization can also get the entire knowledge of the Vedas. That is why I think we've heard of Sant Tukaram. He had told once, वेदांचा तो अर्थ आम्हासीच ठावा. I only can claim to know the meaning of the Vedas. I only is not Ahankar, he's saying, because around him all were interpreting it wrongly and saying this is not right, that is not right, all of it. And in that process, what were they doing? So that time he went to say that. Or if you see Swami Vivekananda also, he was given a book. He was given a book and he quickly looked at the book from the surface. He just passed through the pages and he closed the book. Fine, I finished reading. Here, he did not say I finished reading. All right, I know what is inside of it. The person who was there, a senior man, he was like, he got very angry. He was, what is this? You have not read the book. But I have understood it. He said, how can you understand without reading the book? And he said, you ask me any question. And so he asked a question and he answers all of these questions. How is it without reading? How did he understand the book? Well, the realization. He got what this book is talking about, probably just a small glimpse of it. He gave it back because he understood what is going to be present inside all of it. Why? Because that is a sakshatkar, the confidence that comes from what we can say, the experience. Even this Tukaram's first line I quoted, second line is also very interesting. Khadilyasa godi, dekhilyasa nahi, bhar dhani vahi majuri che. So he says, that sweetness of taste that comes from experience. Like if I say mango season is here, and I come on live and I start eating a most tasty Alfonso, and I say it is very good. Will you all feel that goodness or taste? No, because I am eating it. When you taste it, you will get that experience. So that is what he says. See, that experience which comes from that taste which comes from experience, that cannot come from seeing. So you say, and he goes on to state even that he let the porters carry the weight of these texts on their head. That is what he says. Give them the bhar, give them the fee for carrying it. Now, what he was trying to say, he was not disrespecting the scriptures, but that particular religion, that particular religious mind at that time, there had they had decreed that all his tukarams abhanga means that which cannot be destroyed. They were in a simple way. He was trying to say that his way, and the village then the all the who were in charge, they said this is going against. He is talking about Panduranga. He is going against scripture. He did not go against scripture at all, and he respected the scriptures. But the people said they ordered that all these books will be put into the river, all that he has written. And he was very sad. He accepted that also, and he went and dumped all of his writing into the river. And then the village, there was a miracle. People were surprised that our books came back. They came back, and then the village, celebrated. And then there was a new Tukaram was born. Till then, he was very sad. He was not understanding. Okay, Panduranga, your wish, I will accept it. Maybe this was wrong on my part. So then, when he got the Sakshatkar, he started. He was a very humble man. It was not somebody who was a arrogant person's dialogue. You and I go and say, no, I only know. Then it means it is an arrogance. It is not a full Sakshatkar. Sakshatkar is that which has got one person has realized. So somebody who realizes, that is why in India across the length and breadth, if you go to the villages also, many times people are realized souls are born in different corners of villages. They have never had access to great Vedic wisdom, yet their words resonate the same truth that is present in the Vedas. The followers say, no, this is there in this particular Veda, this is there. That is because of the realization. How did the Vedas, the Aupurusha texts, they came from where? They came directly from the divine only. So why not connect with the source? It's something like that, Krishna says. Let us go on. Next comes the very big and important shloka, a trademark shloka of the Gita, shloka number 47. Karmanye vadhikaraste mam phaleshu kadachanam ma karma phala hetur bhurma te sango swakarmani. Vested, you are with the authority to perform, but not seek your actions' fruits in any form. When by the fruits of actions you aren't motivated from discharging your duties, you never get deviated. So because he says when you are not motivated by your fruits of action, you will never get deviated. That is a simple thing. Because many times if people are driven by the fruits, and if the fruits are looking like out of reach, your actions stop becoming very good also, because your motivation is not the work. You are not doing it for the spirit of the work. You are doing it for the outcome of the work. So when you feel that the outcome is lost, then your drive is stopped, because you are having a temporary drive. But this is not the way. Karmanye vadika raste mam phaleshu kadachanam. Understand, if you want to enter into the part of Karma Yoga, he says, let go of the fruits. This is a big prize. Many people want to hold on to the fruits, but they don't know if you can also, even in the market, you can go and hold on to all the wonderful fruits you understand from your experience. But when you come home and you cut it, then only you know whether the fruits were truly wonderful or not. So it is something like that. You can aspire for fruits, fine, but if you are just, that is your motivation, then there is a great chance of disappointment only. And Karma Yoga says, let go of the fruits of your actions. Keep doing your actions. Then comes a question, what is the motivation if not the fruits? So we will just keep that question on hold, because Krishna will answer that. Arjuna is going to ask most of our questions only. We'll just see what Arjuna has to ask. And I would not like to just simply say that Arjuna is understanding all of this. Maybe he is understanding it, but I am not sure if he is going to agree with all what Krishna is saying. We have seen Arjuna's first reaction. Katham Bhishma Maham Sankhe. How can I? Krishna, there's Drona, there is Bhishma. How are you asking me to fight? That's the first dialogue. Now we will see afterwards what Arjuna is going to say. Krishna is taking a lot of efforts. He's taking a lot of efforts to just make it according to Arjuna's logic. But is it going to help? We will see. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhaya siddhayoho samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Perform your every action in this yogic way. All attachments, Arjuna, you must throw away from accomplishments and loss. Find your release. Then you shall attain the yogic poise and peace. He says, all your actions you perform this way. Throw away all attachments, he says, and find yourself, release, get yourself released. Whether you are getting success or failure, whether people are giving you a high post that you want, or people are cursing you because you are not on that high post, it does not matter. It does not matter, he says. Then you will attain that yogic peace and poise. You will remain balanced. You will enjoy the state. That is ananda, which is not going to be fluctuating happiness and sorrow. It is going to be steady ananda, where life becomes more enjoyable. He says, just perform all your actions in this yogic way. Now, is it possible to be, is it possible? Is this possible just maybe Krishna has not told how to do anything yet. He is just telling what needs to be done. So he will tell us how later on in the Gita. Even Arjuna feels like asking also. Till then, he's not going to even ask how to do it initially. He's just going to debate whether it is possible or not. But what do you think as of now, at this state? Do you think it is possible? No, all right. Let us see then. All right. As of now, we say it is difficult. Only the yogis can do it. Adi Shankaracharya can say, Yadyat karma karomi tadakhilam Shambho tavaradhanam. So every karma I am doing as aradhana for you. Hey, Shambho is, that isn't only the saints. That is why they are saints. That is why we are not saints. They are there. We can do namaskars to them, but we may not be able to follow what they are doing. All right. Let us see what Krishna is going to say. Is it possible? But he is recommending it. So Krishna is recommending means it's like an important recommendation from a very verifiable or reliable source. So let us go on. He says that yogic poise is yours if you can maintain that way. He goes on further. Durena yavaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddhau sharanam manvichha kripanaha phala hetavaha. Oh Arjuna, the pursuit of fruit is only base and ignoble. This is yoga's essence as per the knowledgeable. Seek refuge in its principles practicable, because seekers of fruits of actions are despicable. And so Krishna is suddenly speaking very sharply. He says, no, fruits, people who are there, according to the wise, he says, people who are running after fruits are very, what we can say, not at all in a high state. They are as low as possible, he says, because fruits are very, it's a low state of consciousness when you are driven by only the desires. This is what yogis also understand, and somewhere Krishna says this also. I am telling you, that is why I am saying practice it. It is something very practicable. But we do not know, many times children suddenly see advertisements on the TV, and because the advertisements are designed to drive a person's desires, then they get overwhelmed. I want this, I want that. I remember when I was very young, I don't know what, I saw an advertisement of Sona belt and I went after my father. I wanted it for some reason. I got nice scoldings. What nonsense you are going to do that? But if you see what has happened, a desire has been driven inside of me, and I felt something. It is very important. It is very important for me. That desire takes control. So Krishna says here, see, desires, running after your fruits of actions, that is actually a very great vulnerability or a great weakness. This is something which yogis understand. And this is a very big understanding, and truly speaking, this concept is going to be talked again and again up to the last Adhyaya of the Gita. The same truth, the same principle of this Adhyaya which Krishna, he is not going to change his principles. Means the basic is always going to remain the same. Fundamentals don't change. What is Sanatan, something like that. This is a very important truth. How, why, what, that we will see later. Krishna makes it easy also. So that's why people worship Krishna, because he makes things very easy. But this is the aspect. It's like, yes, you have to climb on the Mount Everest. Krishna is telling. He is a great Sherpa. He will guide you all that. Apart from that, but now your journey is now towards that, and he has pointed out, so your fruits you have to let go of the fruits of action. He says, Buddha yukto jahatiha ubhe sukrita dushkrute tasmat yogaya yujyasva yogaha karmasu kaushalam. So again, beautiful vakya we can just pull out. Yogaha karmasu kaushalam. Sri Aurobindo would say perfection in work is spirituality. Krishna is saying the same thing. My teacher also always says, he says, your works are your a part of you. So if Adhyatma means you have to, first thing is your works have to be right. If you are not doing them right, then you are not practicing the Adhyatma. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Excellence in your karmas. That is what is real yoga. With this knowledge, Krishna is saying, with this knowledge, in this very world itself, from good and bad actions, one can free oneself. Knowing this, engage yourself in this karma yoga, detachment, yet excellence in works is only yoga. So, despite being detached, you are finding a drive to do your work selflessly. That is the way of karma yoga. Has anybody seen anybody in life you have seen who has done selflessly, who is doing good things, even not having some outer desire, without desire for return? Have you seen anybody in life?
It's the mother.
Okay, mother. I think yes. Everybody's mother first and name comes immediately. It is yes. Why go outside when you can see in your home only? Yes, is it not? It's like if mother has given you two chapatis or rice today. What do you want in return? Do you ask that anytime? She will she will ask you
No.
instead, do you want to slap in return for that statement? So it is something like that. This is selfless work, and that is love when it is not asking anything in return. And why not perform all your actions to some end? What is this to? How do you offer all that? We will see later. But Krishna is saying this is the greatest way. And sometimes when you are not having this motivation of a desire, your actions can do. You can do them very well. If you see the archers in the Olympic competition, they don't have to think about gold or anything. They have to first focus, bring all their concentration on the karma only, releasing the arrow from the take from the time they pull it out from the quiver, from the time they hold it, they become one with the full moment. They understand the wind. They try to become one. They have practiced 100,000 times. That is not. It is just a stationary target. They would have 100,000 arrows they would have fired in their life, but at that particular time, they have to enter into that moment, putting away everything else. Will I win gold? Will I not win gold? All those things have to be forgotten. So, this Krishna is saying, with this knowledge, in this very world itself, from good and bad actions, one can free oneself. Knowing this, engage yourself in this karma yoga, detachment, yet excellence in works is only yoga. Krishna goes on. We will just look at three more shlokas and then we will stop. Karmajam Buddha Yuktahi. After three shlokas, Arjuna's question is going to come. Somewhere Arjuna is going to forget his depression. Krishna is going to be successful in making Arjuna question at least. At least his depression is for a moment he has kept it aside. What is that question? How is it going to come? We'll stop just before Arjuna's question. Karmajam Buddha Yuktahi Phalam Tyaktva Manishinaha Janma Bandha Vinirmuktaha Padam Gacchantya Namayam. The most enlightened amongst men are thus aware, and for the fruits of efforts they don't care. Liberated from the bondages of birth, they stand, and in the highest conscious states they land. So, see, the enlightened among human beings are those ones who don't care for the fruits of actions, and they get liberated. They get liberated from the entire bondages. Janma bandha, they become vinirmukto. With this person becomes free from this janma bandha, and he goes to that padam, that post which is the avyay one. The highest post is realized by that person as he becomes free. He reaches that highest consciousness from which there is no descent. That place he reaches, Krishna says. Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarashyati tada gantasi nirvedam shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. When the mind thus element becomes and desires web, it overcomes. One becomes free, detached, and undisturbed towards all that was and all that will be heard. Many times we hear things, those things disturb us. Sometimes good news comes, that also makes us overexcited. Bad news breaks us completely. All these things, whatever is heard, also this person has already got into that state. Even if he hears Veda Vakya, he is going to just remain in that state. He will not lose that state. He'll be able to receive those Veda Vani also at that time. But that state is reached. Or that mind has become illumined, meaning that mind has risen. That mind has risen beyond the knowledge, limitation of mind into something else. What is higher than the mind, we do not know yet. We will keep it in abeyance right now at least. Third Adhyaya, Krishna does talk about it. In the Gita, they are talked about four levels are there of consciousness. And Sri Aurobindo actually has described so many levels between the mind and the supreme. In between also there is mind, there's higher mind, there's illumined mind, there is over mind, there is super mind. So many levels are there. But This mind has already risen beyond what we can say the Boolean logic. Some rise has taken place, and at that time there is a oneness, there is a shanti, there is a highest quietude. Krishna goes on further. Shruti vipratipannate yada sthasyati nischala samadha vachala buddhi tada yogam vapsyasi. When from the disturbances of all that is heard, you become steady and unperturbed, an awakened state of samadhi is then attained, and the union with the cosmic divine is obtained. So Krishna says, then that samadhi is reached, that samadhi sthiti is reached. At that state, he says, all disturbances will cease. You are going to become steady, you will become unperturbed at all times. You have reached an awakened state, and in that state, you become one with the cosmic divine. A great oneness is reached, is what Krishna says. We'll stop here. Before we conclude, for the Shanti Mantra also, I'll just ask this Samadhi, have you heard of this word somewhere? Anyone has heard of it? Yeah, can anybody tell me anything that you've heard about it? Anything about Samadhi?
Is it going the state of trance? Like,
Okay, Deepti ji is talking about a state of trance. Okay, that is one way we have heard of Samadhi. Yes.
Yes, when you say samadhi, have you heard of this word? So we say Gandhi ji ki samadhi. There are samadhis of so many great
Okay.
people that we go and attend. I mean,
Yes, we get.
just
Yes. So yes, we have in the ashram, Sri Aurobindo ashram, there is a samadhi of Sri Aurobindo and the mother. Any other places, samadhis of great saints. So what do we feel when we go there, Dr. Poonam ji? When you go there,
you feel a sort of calmness. You can relate with their principles over there. I
okay.
think so.
Yes.
You feel something very special
Something
when you go
special.
there and just
Okay.
concentrate.
Ji. Yes, Dr. Poonam ji. So a kind of aura of quietude is there, and yes, Usha ji wants to add something. Yes, please.
Yeah, I feel there's an expansion of our consciousness, like we get into a thoughtless state,
Ji.
and we feel blissful in that state.
Okay, so we feel that, and okay, yes, Usha ji, some a thoughtless state. In Gita, we'll see that there's a state also where thoughts can become zero. There are so many thoughts in each moment, but that state is probably what samadhi is. Na kinchit api chintayet, as Krishna says in the Gita later on. So, okay, yes, Usha ji, I think Milan ji was
is that
saying.
what meditators say?
Okay, yes,
Yeah,
Dipti ji is saying.
and
Yeah,
I wanted to
okay,
say
yeah,
that di is buddhi, and sama means balanced.
okay,
So samadhi is the state where the buddhi is in
balanced
balance.
state. But traditionally, we have heard of the final state of people. He has gone into samadhi, and that person is.
Yeah,
Is it not?
yes,
So now Arjuna probably also heard like that only, because suddenly Krishna is talking about samadhi, and probably Arjuna is thinking, if I go into samadhi, I may not have to fight the battle, because suddenly what this does is it sparks the curiosity of Arjuna, because Krishna is talking about a living, walking, talking person going into a state of samadhi. How is it possible? Is it possible, is samadhi only for those saints, or are the saints after their death only that place becomes a samadhi and people go to do pranams? Is that the only samadhi, or is there another samadhi? These are all questions probably in Arjuna's mind. So one thing we can see, whether or not Krishna has successfully convinced Arjuna about whatever he has said, a curiosity is sparked, because immediately Arjuna is going to intervene. We also see a great freedom in Krishna's dialogue, where can ask anytime anything he wishes, and now he asks this question. We will see that tomorrow. We will continue with shloka number 53. This is a little bigger adhyay. Some of the adhyayas are longer, they require a little more time, 2-3 days. Sometimes they are shorter, so they can get over in one session as well. So we are stopping here at shloka number 53. I'll conclude with the Shanti mantra. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. हरि ओम तत्सत्. कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. Om Shanti Shanti. Yeah. Hari Om. Any questions? You are most welcome. Hari Om ji.
Namaste ji.
Namaste ji.
We are if we actually speaking, we are trapped by desires.
Okay, ji.
My question is, without desire, how can we motivated and we can proceed with our karma yoga?
Ji. Yes, Pushpa, that's a very valid and logical question, because but I think we'll just keep this on hold, because this question is going to be answered by Krishna in the just subsequent chapter. Right now, the concept has been introduced, like he has introduced one concept of triguna. He says there are three gunas functioning, they govern. What is the role? What is these three gunas? How are they governing human beings? Or are we trapped under these functioning? Do we have independence? These are all questions that come. Let us, some of the questions we will keep them in abeyance. So this is a very valid question. If I do not answer it in by the end of third adhyaya, you can catch me that time only and say that I have not answered. But that answer is there. We will be seeing it. Krishna says that there is a motivation of this. But before that, we want Arjuna to also come to terms with it, because Arjuna is right now not really interested in Karma Yoga also at the moment. So we'll just see. We will just probably wait, Pushpaji. But that question is will be looked at definitely.
Thank you.
Ji, thank you, ji. Hari Om, ji. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, ji. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Sushit ji.
Hari Om, ji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, ji. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om, ji. Hari Om, ji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, ji. Hari Om, ji. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om ji.
Hari Om, ji. Hari Om. Ji. So if there are no questions, we'll conclude the session then. Hari Om.